Hi everyone, my name's Phi Thuy Nguyen, founder of Agame Yoga and Meditation Center and the 501c3 for-purpose organization, Ambassadors of Light. Welcome to another segment of Do It Different. From parenting to business, from the bedroom to the boardroom, how to do your moments differently so that you can experience both success and substance to create your truly unique, different kind of happy. I am happy to be back in Tamara Bourgeois' office, where if you did not catch the How to Do Parenting Differently video or interview that I did with Tamara, the link of it will be below this video so that you can go back and view as a wonderful resource. She gave us 4 wonderful tips to how to parent differently. Today, we're going to be focusing on transitioning into our later stages of life with more consciousness, more clarity, more wisdom, and specifically drawing that wisdom from her latest book, Once Upon a Blue Moon, that shares her journey of how she has transitioned into this part of her life differently. And I just want to say I am in so much awe of the clarity and the conscientiousness that you engage in with your life, whether it be as a parent, as a woman, as a friend, as a therapist. So I honor you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So tell us a little bit about the inspiration of this book and how that all came about.
The inspiration of this book was my own midlife challenge. Some people call it a midlife crisis. It's just a midlife challenge, really.
Midlife opportunity, because without it, we wouldn't have this book, right?
Right.
So what was the opportunity for you?
It was, I actually began writing the book as a way to heal from my own divorce, the separation from my partner. And it wasn't intended to be a book. It was intended to be journal pages from my own heart. And as individuals would come sit right here on our counseling sofa and talk about their trials and tribulations, I would say, hold on, let me get to my computer, and I would print out a journal page and say, I have just explored this topic myself.
Wow.
And when it's in my client's best interest, I'll reveal parts of my own journey, especially if I've gotten through them. I may not reveal them. I'm in the middle of a struggle, and you let me know if you have that answer first. But actually, I've probably done that a couple of times too. But I began to hear feedback from my clients like, you need to write a book. You need to write a book. And so about halfway through this year of journaling, I realized that there was a book here that was flowing, that was really one adventure after the other in new singlehood in midlife. So the actual subtitle is Memoirs of a Woman in the Middle of Her Life. And the description says here, an accidental tour guide to surviving midlife singlehood, reclaiming the self, redesigning happiness, and giving love another chance. So I think that's a very good description of what's in the book and what I discovered along the way.
I love it. And I've read this book. It's been a while. I think I read it when it first came out 2-3 years ago.
I remember you texting me.
Yes, and what a personal journey and the wisdom that is shared in the book. Specifically for today, I want Tamara to share with us, and before I go into that, this is the third of Tamara's book. She's written 3 books, so this is her third one. The other 2 focusing on parenting,
right?
And this one focusing on what was very relevant to her at that time. So it comes from her heart space, which I love. And to give our audience a few tips as to how they can transition into being a single person again, transition into the new phase of their life, the middle of their life, with more grace, with more happiness, redesigning happiness. I love that. And reclaiming themselves.
So the first thing that comes to my mind when you ask that, Fee, is ludicrous as this sounds, ironic as it sounds, and paradoxical, is to become comfortable with pain.
Mm.
And one of the pains we need to become comfortable with is the pain of loneliness.
Mm.
Because unless you're a master at avoiding being alone, which some people are, whether it's with a bottle or actually just a huge group of social activities, we are going to be faced with that monster that's been in the closet all that while. Sometimes that monster that's prevented us from leaving a very painful, toxic, unhappy relationship to begin with, which is being alone with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So learning to cultivate the ability to spend more and more time alone with yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, the greatest jewel in doing that is that I waited for the right person to come along, not just the next person that would fill that gap, because I became comfortable enough alone in order to be reflective and to make better choices for myself. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And one of the things I would like to offer here is to change the words being alone to being with myself, because that's been a journey that I have engaged in for many years now. And I would take myself out on dates with myself. You know, I would go to the movie with myself. I would go eat lunch with myself. And it is exactly that, because how can I be truly in relationship with another if I only look to you as my source of comfort and I don't know how to comfort this?
Right. Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've done is I've created a wonderful space in my own home that's inviting for me to come back to. I actually bought a Chase lounge. I didn't have one, a very comfortable one. And I created this little side stand, end table, I guess is what you call it, with some really inspiring books and a really neat set of shows to watch on Netflix that were inspiring, not something that would cause me anxiety or terror. And a journal sitting there ready to write, and so that the space I came home to was very loving and inviting. And sometimes I truly can't wait to get home to that space, you know, after a long day. And if Gabriel's with his dad, I'm imagining myself sitting on that Chase lounge, maybe journaling or reading something inspirational or watching one of my favorite inspirational Netflix TV shows or movies. So,
and those are all tools of really reclaiming the self, as your cover describes here. Right. What can I do to reclaim myself? Because oftentimes in relationships, we lose ourselves.
Yes.
And this time being the opportunity to turn that mirror back around to me and saying, well, who am I?
How do I like my eggs? As one of my friends said just last weekend, that he discovered he had been eating eggs like his partner liked them for years. And when he left the relationship, he began to ask himself simple things like that. How do I like my eggs? He said, I found out I like them crispy on the ends and wet enough to dunk. Yes.
Yeah, those
and
are
he
good
had been
eggs.
scrambling them for years. So
I love it.
Yeah.
And it's in those simple moments and simple activities that allows us to know who we are.
That's right. Yeah. What music do I like?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
And so when that time is filled with activities for myself, then I think the loneliness may not be so strong.
Right.
Because my attention is focused on reclaiming myself instead of investing. I'm looking for another distraction to invest in.
And on the other side of the coin from that, when loneliness is all-consuming, I literally have a list of people to call and things to do. I keep it on my computer. I keep it in my purse. I don't need it so much anymore. But really early on in my transition, when you get to a point where you're so lonely, it feels like depression. You need to be able to pick something up and look at it, because we can't generally be creative and access what can I do besides just wallow in loneliness right now. So it might be an activity at home. It might be a website we go to. Like I love Ram Dass's website, Love Serve Remember. There's always something that's uplifting on there. Thich Nhat Hanh's website. I might literally need a list of what can I look at on my computer? What can I read? Who can I call? Who are the 5 people in my life I can call that are going to truly listen to me when I'm in pain and not try to give me a bunch of advice or turn it around, back to themselves, and or maybe you have 2 people. And then activities like going to Barnes and Noble. If you find yourself on find that bewitching night, and for me it's Friday night. I generally don't like coming home with myself on Friday night. There's something about wanting to be social.
Absolutely.
But if all of my friends and family are occupied, then I'll go hang out at Barnes and Noble just to be around other people. Tambao Meditation Center has a wonderful meditation on Friday night. So maybe there are things that you would be comfortable doing on a Friday night. I never hesitate to walk into Tambao Meditation Center on a Friday night if I'm with myself. Although going to a movie with myself on a Friday night, or for you, might be a little more daunting. I can do that as well, or go to dinner by myself. But if you can't, find a place like Barnes & Noble where it would be low risk to walk in by yourself. So
those are such important tools to empower yourself with. And what comes to my mind is really in that moment of deep loneliness and despair or discomfort, if I can train myself to ask the question, what is the most loving thing I can do for myself right now? And let that question be the inspiration to pick up the phone and call a friend. Maybe that is the most loving thing at that moment. Maybe it's go take a hot bath. That may be the most loving thing. Or it may be to go to Barnes and Nobles and to have that list as safety. And when you reach for that list, check in and say, well, what is the most loving thing? And that is how I began to redesign my happiness, because I tune in and I listen to my own inner guidance and inner wisdom.
Now, there's a chapter in this book that I was just clobbered by loneliness one night. I walked in, it was a cold January night, and the house was cold because I hadn't, it's Louisiana, so I hadn't put the heat on because it was 70 degrees. And then it ended up being 30 degrees, and it was cold and dark, and that was that nightmare to walk into this cold, dark house, and I was smacked with it. And I got on the computer and I journaled all about it, and it became one of my favorite chapters in the book. And in the end, there wasn't a happy ending to that chapter. I still felt cold and dark and sad, but I felt relief. I felt relief for having been witness to it myself and to expressed it. Right. So the happy ending was really that I came to terms with it. No one walked in, flipped on the lights. The light came on inside, right? It came on inside from loving myself through it and witnessing that nightmare come true, so to speak. And it wasn't as terrible as I had imagined it would be. It hardly ever is.
Our imagination can take us to the greatest of places and to the darkest of places. It's learning to flip it so it can take us where we want to go, instead of where it doesn't serve us. So wonderful first tip, Tamara. What would be another tip for someone who's moving through transition?
I think maybe there were 2, right? If I think about it,
there was a lot we covered.
Writing lists. I'm a list writer to begin with. Have one in your car. Have one in your purse. Have one on your computer of resources you have. The second is, or the first was really to get comfortable with the fact that you are going to feel alone at times, that there is going to be that empty breeze blowing through. And
the second would be to empower yourself with resources.
Right, to empower yourself with resources. It's to cultivate friendships. And it's easy to say that, right? Go out and make friends. It's much harder to do. So my recipe for that is that you have to get to a point where if you're a socially anxious person, that's not one of my nemesis, but I have a lot of friends and clients who are socially anxious, so it's very hard for them to reach out, Fee, what are you doing tonight? And so I say you need to get to the point where your desire to connect is greater than your fear of being rejected. And that you keep that fear of rejection in check with the intention of reaching out and connecting to another human being. Because there's just a lot of people that find themselves single in the middle of their life have not cultivated a lot of friendships because their relationship maybe was all encompassing. Maybe they even had a controlling spouse who didn't, who made it difficult for them to enjoy friendships. There's all sorts of reasons why we find ourselves with a very short list of friendship resources to call or to call on. But we have to get to the point where we honor ourselves enough to reach out and take our fear of rejection with us, but take action anyway. So that, to me, that's a definition of courage. It's not the absence of fear, it's having fear, but taking charge anyway. So,
and I think what you mentioned earlier, being willing to go to, let's say, Tambao during their meditation time on Friday night, or going to a yoga class, or going to Barnes and Nobles, maybe a book signing or something, creating that foundation to say, oh, hi, so you're interested in meditation too, right? How long have you been coming? And would it, after a certain amount of conversation, would it be okay if I called you because I'm new at this and I have some questions for you? So beginning to build those relationships right from where we are by going to those places that tend to offer us the people we would want to be in relationship with.
That's right. Finding things that truly are of interest to you. Leisure courses from your university. What are you into? Are you interested in photography? Are you interested in hiking? Trust me, there is an organization for anything healthy you can be interested in, and some not so healthy. We want to go for the healthy ones, right?
Yes, move in that direction.
And can I brag for just a second? I have to tell you, for the first time ever, I went to a wine tasting with myself. I had purchased 2 tickets, and then the friend couldn't make it at the last minute. And I thought, I can do this. I can go on my own. And I made an intention and a declaration. I'm going to make a new friend tonight. So I walked into the wine tasting, and I just found the friendliest 2 people I can find. And I sat next to them, and come to find out they're 2 opera singers in Baton Rouge, 2 of the most interesting people. They could actually speak the Italian. It was an Italian wine tasting, so they taught me how to pronounce all the wines. Wonderful. We had a wonderful evening, and I made new friends. And so I had fear in doing that. I won't lie. Am I really going to go do this by myself? I usually have a, companion or accomplice with me, and I did it, and I just felt like such a big girl. I really did.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. So really looking at those moments as opportunities. Right. I had this plan for 2 people to go to this wine tasting. The reality is now there's only me. What's my opportunity? Yeah. And is it more loving to stay home and withdraw, or is it more loving to say, I love that.
That is such a great
question.
question.
And I'm going to meet someone new.
Right. I remember making the declaration, so it was a firm, and I'm going to make a new friend tonight.
I love it.
It was no doubt. I just didn't even give myself room not to. Yeah. So
that space of exploration and wonder, I would say, is really important here. That just because I think I have an interest in ballroom dancing, I go try it, and it's not quite what I had in mind, that's okay. And now you know. Right. You are designing your life again. And in that process, I check this off. Doesn't work for me. Now I'm going to go try something else. Yeah.
Write a bucket list, and then get into the, process of scratching it off one at a time, one item at a time.
I like the idea of life list. I don't know. For some reason, the
said life list.
Life list. The bucket list is like you're focusing on the end of your life.
Kicking the bucket. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I never thought about that. You're right.
So write your life list and express and celebrate and design your life based on your life list. Right. Yeah. In my life, I want to be able to experience this and this and this and that and all wonderful things. Yeah. So what's another great tool?
Let's see. I'm trying to think, Fee. I think those are almost all of my really great tools that were fleshed out through this year of exploration. But maybe if I come right to date now, I would say the hope, the belief, and the intention of enjoying a relationship with myself better, to love and grow within myself, that cultivating the greatest relationship of all, which is the one with ourselves. And for me, because I'm spiritual, and as Fee is, with the divine within. So I have grown much closer to the divine in growing closer to myself. And the way I've done it is with all of those tools above, but particularly sitting on that Chase lounge with my spiritual resources at my side or in front of me.
So I'm going to be a little nosy here,
Okay.
Tamara. So here you are today. How has your journey of the past 3 years, or maybe longer? It feels like it's longer.
About 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years. How is it showing up differently today in terms of the woman who's sitting here now, with her comfort of her own loneliness, with the comfort of her own happiness, and does she need to have a partner to be happy?
Yeah, well, the quick answer to that is absolutely not. And that's one of the realizations I've come to over the last few years, is that I'm so happy with what I've cultivated in my life, my career, the relationships I have with my family and friends, particularly the relationship I have with myself, that I've passed up a lot of opportunities that would have been what a friend of mine referred to as, I forgot how she said that, something like finding someone, a good companion, a nice companion. And I've thought, I'm happy enough alone. I'm happy enough with myself. I'm happy enough with what I have in my life, that the person that comes in, if there is someone, if God has an intention to send someone to me, and I've totally surrendered that to Him, that person would have to enhance the quality of my life. They would have to inspire me, and they would have to complement what I've already created. And I'm willing to wait for that, or I'm willing to just continue to cultivate it myself. So whether I have a partner or not at this point in my life is not nearly as important as being happy and making my own choices in life and having my own creative adventure. Does that make sense?
Total
Hey,
sense.
if you're out there,
come on, play.
Ready and willing, let's play. But
and I'm
if
happy
not,
now.
Look what I have created in my life.
That's so awesome. And I think what you share, Tamara, is the path of freedom. I can enjoy a relationship with a partner and celebrate and live life with that person in that space. And I can enjoy a relationship with myself without a partner in this space. And so I'm free to enjoy what is in my experience, not waiting for my experience to show up a certain way to then have happiness. It's just because I like chocolate and can really enjoy eating chocolate doesn't mean I need to eat it every day. And I can enjoy it when I have it, right? And so my happiness and freedom is unconditioned by the circumstances of my life.
And that's the value of doing our own work and continuing, in the process when we are single, in the middle of our lives or any time, to work on ourselves, to inspire ourselves, to reach in deeper, to know ourselves, is that we get very comfortable and very compassionate with who we are. So anything else in our life is a compliment. It's not a necessity.
And that goes back to my chocolate example. I would like to rephrase that is, I can enjoy chocolate, but I'm not dependent on chocolate. Yeah. That's freedom. Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. That was so much fun talking about that.
So if you would like a session with Tamara, you can contact her at this number. What is it?
Area code 225-753-1452.
Or Google her, Tamara Bourgeois.
Yes.
And she has a thriving practice here. And you can come explore with her and let her be your support as you transition into the middle stages of your life. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, please leave them in the comment box below. We would love, love, love to hear from you. And let your feedback and comments be a compliment to what we've experienced today.
Yes.
Thanks again for tuning in. Namaste.
Namaste.